In the days, weeks, and months leading up to the cyber attack that penetrated RBS WorldPay's network and computer systems, cyber thieves were able to exploit usernames and passwords to gain entrance and access to incredibly sensitive information. Included in this was access to 1.5 million account holders, account numbers, and associated PINs. The cyber thieves then packaged up this information and distributed it to a worldwide network of thieves. On the other end, these thieves took the account numbers and were able to create duplicate cards. They then bundled these cards into nice little packages of 100 each, and on top of each package with a nice little rubber band was a list of all the PIN numbers. These groups of cards would then be handed to cash mules. And for those of you that don't know what a cash mule is, a cash mule's only job is to take a stolen credit or debit card, go to an ATM, and withdraw as much money as possible, and then throw the card away. Back at home base for this attack, the cyber thieves penetrated the networks of RBS again and raised the available limits on all of these accounts, in addition to raising the amount of money that could be taken in one 24-hour period. As they launched the attack that just lasted 12 hours, they were able to take over $9 million from 2,100 ATMs spanning the globe and 280 cities. This extraordinary velocity to this concerted attack. However, it was just one day, one bank, and one attack. In the US last year alone, we saw a staggering $54 billion in identity-related crimes. On a global scale, it's even more incredible, where we lost $210 billion to identity-related crimes. There's no doubt that this is one of the toughest problems that our generation faces today, solving the crisis of identity. In fact, in financial services, it could be said that it's the #1 problem. That's roughly $400,000 per minute hitting financial services today. But the world is about to change. In fact, the world is moving underneath us as we speak and moving towards a revolutionary leap where this problem will be a thing of the past. Today, your identity can be determined from across the room while you're at a full run, even if you're wearing a mask or a wig or glasses or contact lenses or sunglasses. All to within 1 in 1 quadrillion certainty that you are who you say you are, and you are in fact alive and in that point in time. There's an incredibly amount of certainty embodied in this number, and you don't have to be a mathematician to understand the significance. That's roughly 147,000 times the number of people on the planet today. Or to put it in simple terms, it's like 10 entire Earths filled to capacity. All of this with no more credit cards, no more driver's licenses, no more passports, no more user IDs or passwords, and no more paper documents like voter registration cards or medical records. Completely gone. How is this possible? Simply said, the eye is an incredibly complex organ. The black dot that's in the center of our eye is called the pupil. The colored area around the edges is called the iris. The magic of our eye is that every single one of us and every single one of our eyes has a unique combination of lines, dots, and colors. And this uniqueness, much like a fingerprint, is formed when we're in our mother's womb during the embryonic gestation period. However, unlike a fingerprint, the iris is infinitely more powerful, roughly 2,000 times more powerful than a single fingerprint, and 10,000 times more powerful than the very best voice or facial recognition techniques of our day. To accomplish this, we take images of both of our eyes, and when merged together, create a mathematical representation of a person or biometric identifier. This biometric identifier is no longer the purview of science fiction. This is not about high-speed lasers and potentially damaging techniques that were used before. This new iris scan is simply a high-definition picture of your eye, when combined together, provides the foundation for identity certainty. Further advances allow for the detection of liveness. That is, making sure that the person that is having their iris scanned is in fact alive and present in front of you. So in this new world, to accomplish everyday tasks, you simply opt in by glancing into a sensor to have your identity ascertained and certain permissions or things that you do every day taken care of for you. For instance, you could go to your country home, glance at a sensor on the door, and gain entrance to your house. No more keypads, no more locks. Likewise, if you were in the city, you could go to an ATM, glance at a sensor, gain access to cash. There's many, many other examples as well, but I thought maybe the best thing that we could do at this point is take a look at what that future state will be. And in order to do that, we've included a couple of really well-known brands just to make the impact. So let's take a look at the video. This is today. You saw examples from all sorts of interactions that we hold, including the voter one. With iris scans, there would be no more hanging chads in Florida. You also saw examples of common things that we experience every day, like going to a pharmacy to get your prescriptions, boarding a plane, and so forth. But again, this is simply today. Tomorrow, the sensors will be infinitely more powerful, costing a mere fraction of a penny, nanometers in width, sensors literally everywhere in every device and every interaction point that we deal with. Identity, the very essence of who we are and how we interact with others, is in a period of extraordinary tumult. However, it's no longer going to be the audacity of self, or I am whatever I say I am. There will be a sensor that guarantees that identity certainty. Now, at this moment, we've all seen the video with the nice brands that we all experience every day, and it's got a rather utopian feel. And at this point, science fiction writers, many like the great David Brin, who wrote a fantastic book called The Transparent Society, would begin to venture into what about the negative outcomes of this? certainly there has to be some possibility for dystopia. And that's absolutely correct. The linking of nearly everything that we do through a certified channel, linking all physical and digital transactions into one convenient form, creates the capability for a near total surveillance society. At the same time, this same linking provides the capability for us all to finally regain our identity from the people and the data brokers that hold it today, and to set the proper controls on that information based on our own specifications, not some other companies. The difference between utopian or dystopian outcomes rests squarely with our ability to balance the needs for security with those of convenience and civil liberties and privacy and control. This is an important discussion that must take place. Dialogue is incredibly important because the stakes are so high. Back to imagining that $210 billion of losses that took place last year in the globe based on identity-related crimes. $210 billion is a really tough number to get your head around. But to put it in a little bit more simple terms, that's like feeding 35 million families for a year. As you're walking around over the next few days, imagine this, that 35 million families is in essence 1 of every 8 people that you see over the next course of the days you could feed for a year on $210 billion. If we contributed just 1% of this amount to the Gates Foundation, we could eradicate polio from the planet forever. It took us less than $25 billion to land a man on the moon. This is the challenge for our generation. Let's make it happen, end identity crimes, and step it up. Thank you.